I don't know how I'm gonna get this done. I really don't know. Jumper's coughing. There's 2 littles in the house and I can't speak right. But here we are. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. If you watched part 1 of like my period health situation, thanks. As I like post more, I think they'll make way more sense than just having a piece of it. But I'm not gonna like stall, let's just get right into it. So I left off this summer of 2017. So we're still placed. So basically, still have my notes here because it's a lot of stuff, you guys. July 15th, my birthday, 2017. I was turning 23, my Jordan year, right? It's supposed to be a good year. It was a great year, good birthday. I was in Canada with the guy that I was dating at the time, and we were at a wedding, great wedding, super fun, and I started to feel super nauseous. And I didn't know if it was like, I never drove really well. No, I didn't drive at all while I was in Canada. And so I was just like a passenger most of the time, so I didn't know like, oh, am I nauseous because I'm car sick, but I hadn't been in the car too much that I could. Okay, I was in the car for a lot that day, but I wasn't in the back seat. So anyways, moving along, I'm nauseous, right? Then the group of friends that we were with, they were like, oh, you have to have Canadian McDonald's because it's way better than American McDonald's. And I think we had just gone out and like celebrated after the wedding because it was my birthday. I had like a birthday cake, drink, whatever. So that was another thing. I'm like, did this have dairy in it? Because I usually try to stay away from dairy. But moving along, still nauseous, right? We get to McDonald's, I'm like, like if I eat this, I will not be okay. So I remember I didn't eat anything while I was there. Next morning, flew out super early for my like birthday hang with all of my friends, July 16th. And I'm gonna insert a picture if I can. And I just remember I wore a white dress that day. Great, you guys. I wore a white dress and I was so bloated. But I'm not the type of person, if I'm bloated, I'm like, well, I'm a human, you know? I'm not like tripping out about being bloated ever, but I just noticed it in pictures. I was like, okay. So that day is great. I don't feel any type of way emotionally that like how you feel before your period. I just was just living my life and enjoying my friends and like being back home and all of the things. So I get home July 16th and I see blood. Reminder, I'm talking about my period, so don't be a baby. Don't be a weenie, okay? Anyways, so I'm like, cool, I'm bleeding. That makes sense. So I have nothing, I think, at this point. I don't know if I had bought anything yet because I didn't have to buy things because I never had a period. I saved so much money. So I maybe had a couple of pads or tampons and I was like, okay, I'll like go get stuff after work because that was a Sunday. And then the next morning I woke up, still, I think I maybe grabbed some from my sister's and I go to work and I'm like, okay, this is a lot of bleeding. This is a lot. But I just thought, okay, it's my first period in a very long time. We're good. And the baby that I was watching at that time, loved him. He was my favorite. Gosh, and his family was so great. They were so chill. Loved working for them. So we would do this thing. I would get there and he'd still be sleeping, so I'd take like a little snooze and not really. Moving along. I'd wake him up, I'd make my coffee, feed him a bottle, and we'd go for a walk. So that day I was like, this is not gonna happen, because when I got to work at 6:30 in the morning, from 6:30 to 9:30, I had probably changed out of 4 tampons and 4 pads. And it wasn't like, oh, there's a little blood, I'm 11. No, it was like I have soaked every single super tampon and every single pad. All pads are super to me at this point. Anyway, so I was like, yeah, we're not going for a walk because I'm not doing this to myself. And so it was fine. He was like 4 months old, 5 months old. He didn't care. So I didn't go for a walk, and then shortly after I recognized, oh, I'm clotting. Anyways, so I'm bleeding a ton, but then I'm starting to recognize as the day goes on that I'm clotting. Now, clotting is normal. So I thought. But these are not like little mini clots that are like, oh, that's cute. Never. Like, these clots were massive clots. Like, I'm not a big girl. Like, these are my hands. But when I say that day, July 17th, I had clots bigger than the size of my hand. Literally. So that was horrifying, because I'm like, what do I do? What do I do with these? Anyways, so that's just like a little bit traumatic for me. I ended up obviously bleeding through on my way home. Like, that became a normal for me. But even still, I was just like, oh, maybe my body's just playing catch up from 5 years of no period, because I'm a doctor. Anyways, so end of July comes around and I went vegan because I thought that it would help me. I'd heard stories of people's like periods getting better because they went vegan. I'm not knocking that still could very much be true. But this was like a season where I was like, okay, I feel like I'm trying to autocorrect and I actually don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to try everything that I could. And in return, it just made me very extreme. And I do just want to say, like, when you find yourself in the middle of something you can't figure out, go easy on yourself. Like, if I could go back, I wouldn't have done as drastic changes in the middle of my body changing, if that makes sense. And I also went vegan for other, like, not even just animal injustice, but like injustice that was happening to people. And I was only vegan for 2.5 months. I still am very cautious, and I think about things. I'll talk about that later. Anyways, so I was only vegan for 2.5 months for a couple of reasons. I was not prepared to be vegan. I wasn't getting enough of what I needed. While I love kale and leafy greens and all of those things, I was losing so much blood but knew nothing about iron at the time. And then I was losing so much weight. Healthy weight for me is like 95, 96, 97, and I probably around that time was about like 89, 88. Not because I was overthinking, I think is what was happening. Yeah, so going vegan was okay. I don't think there was anything, I didn't have any bad intentions other than, no, I didn't have any bad intentions at all for myself, for people, for animals. I just was not prepared to be vegan. I cried outside Chick-fil-A for many reasons. I just really love Chick-fil-A, and my body was hungry and it wasn't getting what it needed, and it wouldn't have gotten what it needed either if I was eating Chick-fil-A. That's not what I'm saying. But I just lost a ton of weight and I was losing way too much blood, and I don't think it would have been healthy for me to stay vegan either, even if I would have been a tad bit more prepared. Just too much going on. So I felt like even in like July, August, even though I felt like super clear in my head, I knew something physically was wrong, but I think I was so happy and finally feeling free mentally that I wasn't, I had enough stamina, strength to just keep enduring the hard times. Does that make sense? Like, do you ever go through things in life and you're like, I don't know how I did that, but I think it was because something happy did happen in the midst of it that I just kept going. So yeah, and even just like random side note, I am a songwriter, and I remember July, August, September, all of those months being the most marking months for me. There were moments like I can show you, no I can't, but if I could, I would show you my voice memos, and every single day I was down at the piano writing. I was so inspired and I felt so free all the time. That was the season that I wrote Surrounded, and that's still one of my most favorite songs I've ever written, still. So but I, even through that time, I felt like I had hit this like max, just like too much, like everything was too much for me, but I still wanted to be deeply involved in everything that I was involved in. Like, I had started directing worship for a ministry school, absolutely in love with what I was doing, even in the middle of it just feeling like it was taking a lot from me, but recognizing, oh, why is this, like, this is exactly what I want to be doing. Why do I feel so depleted? So literally I told my friends back then, and it's kind of funny to think about now, I'm like, I can't do anymore. Like, I have people, these are my people, I cannot add any more people, I cannot have coffee with anyone, I'm tired. But I'm like massive connector, like I want to sit down with new people and have coffee and like talk about life and what God is doing or what their story, whatever. But I felt like I just didn't have I didn't have any more space emotionally, physically, spiritually to do any of those things. That was also the time I started drinking coffee, because I was like, I hear that people drink coffee to wake up, and so I'm just trying to wake up. I went from being able to wake up at whatever 4 in the morning to be at my piano for an hour and then go to work to like barely being able to just wake up at all. So I started drinking coffee, and then I was just a shaky little chicken in some moments, because I was drinking it throughout the whole entire day, more like sipping on 1 cup to feel better. I was leading worship more, and oh man, I felt like, just even thinking back on that time, it was so beautiful, because I felt like forever there was this wall in front of me and I couldn't figure out what was going on, and then just like everything broke and I was fully myself. So even thinking back in that time, in growth in that time of my life as a worship leader, I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to really fully show up and be myself. So like I said, there was like the beauty of it, and then the like, oh man, this is still really hard for me. So at this point, I mean, even down to like this started in July, I was bleeding 2.5 weeks out of each month. So, but also, this is something interesting about me that I would tell my doctor, and both of them would be like, what? Any high emotion, happy, sad, like any time during worship, any time, like having fun or conversations with my friends, I called them like emotional bleeds. Like any high emotion, I would just bleed, even if it wasn't in that like 2.5 week window. It didn't matter. I would just bleed. So, and then the first week of those 2 weeks, I was in excruciating pain. Like I'm talking like I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. And I'm not really a yeller, you know what I'm saying? But the only outlet that I had in those moments was to scream at the top of my lungs. My poor family. I literally would, the only thing that would soothe me, kind of, not even because I was screaming, was being in the shower, laying on the shower floor with the hot water and just screaming. Felt absolutely horrible. Fast forward, just like a little sneak peek, turns out that the type of cramps that I was having were basically like mimicking contractions. So when I found that out, I was like, I can deliver a baby. I'll be angry if it feels that bad, but I can do that. But even still, I don't like, I don't know what to say. All I can say is this video is very long. That's all I have to say. So sorry to like end it this way, but I just recognized I had like 40 minutes of footage, I guess, and my goal is to make these like just at least 15-16 minutes, not longer than 20, so that it's just not too much in one video, if that makes sense. So next Thursday I'll have the rest of this video and what I have to say, but I just wanted to make these videos as like to the point as possible in different parts, if that makes sense. So anyways, thanks for watching. I kind of can't wait to like get up to date, kind of, to let you know what's like presently happening or going on. But yeah, I've kind of enjoyed, but like have done a lot of reflecting during this time making these videos, because it's like I'm reliving it, and part of that's really sad to me because this isn't an easy thing to talk about, and it's been really hard even still. So I appreciate you watching. If you could subscribe, like, comment, all of those things, that helps me. And yeah, have a good day. Happening. Where's my dog? This is the sacrifice. Okay, this is gonna take me so many takes. Hold on.